Saturday morning. And that means it's time to catch up on the local and statewide high school sports scene. Welcome to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1. Now, here are your hosts, Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Well, we've only got one half of the, I don't know if you call Ed and me a dynamic duo. Ed is not here today. The funeral for his mom who passed away last week. I am Matt Hatfield. We've got Thomas Simmons, other side of the glass, rocking his FSU Seminole sweatshirt and filling in admirably, as he does from time to time, so graciously. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Lynn Burke, formerly of HRVarsity.com and the Daily Press. Longtime sports writer, retired now, a candidate for Halls of Fame. I didn't say a Hall of Fame, Halls of Fame, multiple Halls of Fame, and from time to time a significant contributor to ESPN Radio 94.1 and VirginiaPreps.com. How was your Christmas?
My Christmas was absolutely wonderful. My wife and I were up at 5:30 Christmas morning opening presents.
I did see that on Facebook. You got up bright and early, and more importantly, though, I'm glad to hear your Christmas was good, and I hope your wife Charlotte's was as well.
Oh, excellent.
Was the grandkids, did they get everything they wanted from Grandma and Grandpa Burke as well as Santa?
Well, we had a big family Christmas thing the weekend before, and I think they were all very pleased.
Good. I can tell you one of the hit items that we gave away with the little kids I helped watch and our family was a marshmallow gun. That was a big hit. The couple of kids were fighting over it. It's a little toy gun that you shoot marshmallows out at.
My youngest grandsons are into Nerf guns.
Oh, well, get them a marshmallow gun. They'll have fun for hours and hours and hours, and you can go take a nap.
I do that anyway.
We've got some high school sports to talk about with you this morning on this final edition of High School Sports Talk for 2018. Numerous playback interviews. We'll try to squeeze in as many as we can on this abbreviated edition of the program before Florida and Michigan hits the airwaves. In what bowl is that? Is that the Peach Bowl, Thomas? Gators and Wolverines today?
Yeah, I think it is the Peach Bowl.
11:30. So our coverage will begin then. But before we go to the phones, and graciously, and if you're ever curious what Keith from Smithfield looks like, I know Thomas is. Go check out my Twitter page at Hatfield Sports. Click the little media tab. You'll see we took a selfie last night and also on Facebook. It got tons of comments and reviews, and he is world famous. And we'll get to Keith, who is kind enough to call in despite a loss for the Packers. But before we do that, we got to tell people what happened if you've been out and about or want to hear what happened the last two nights. So let's fire up the scoreboard, shall we, Lynn?
Sounds good.
Basketball. You want to start at that Kings Fork Christmas Classic that we were out at yesterday?
Well, of course, we're sad that Ed's not here today, but Ed's Nansemond River team beat Smithfield 77-56 in one of the semifinals, and Lakeland beat Kings Fork in the other semifinals. So it's Nansemond River and Lakeland for the championship tonight. It
was a packed house last night at the Kennel in Suffolk, and a kudos to Kings Fork AD Randy Jesse and the folks from Suffolk. Nice moment of silence for Ed before the game, and that place, like I said, it was packed to the gills. Full house. Best crowd I've been to all year for a high school basketball game, which is not a surprise because all four teams, the three Suffolk schools, all much improved, pretty competitive, very good in the case of Kings Fork and Lakeland with one loss apiece, and Smithfield came in undefeated last night. But as you said, 77-56 for the Warriors. They get 22 steals, 13 from the likes of Jeremiah Lewis and Rayshawn Murray as they had a 29-6 third quarter burst to answer the 8-0 run Smithfield began the second half with to take the lead, and the Warriors rolled from there as Craig Frost on an interim basis filled in for Coach Young last night. And we'll hear from Jeremiah Lewis and Rayshawn Murray later on in the program. It was Lakeland over Kings Fork 59-49. That game was tied going into the fourth, Lynn, and it felt like it'd be an overtime last shot. Last team with the ball wins it, but Lakeland pulled away. And how about this name for you? Freshman Bravion Campbell. Big-time football studies, built like a Mack truck linebacker already. 12 rebounds and 3 blocks off the bench as a ninth grader.
Not bad at all. Sounds like he's a big one in the middle.
And Kamari Artis and Ray Bellamy combined for 31 points. Bellamy with 8 in the fourth quarter. Artis 8 of 9 from the foul line as Clint Wright's Cavaliers will take on the Warriors of Nansemond River in the championship tonight over at Kings Fork. Consolation game at 6 of Smithfield and Kings Fork. And if you're going out there like I am, I suggest you arrive early. You won't get a parking spot or a seat. So plan to be there early out there in Suffolk. They will fill up fast in that gym. So that takes care of Suffolk. You just go around, bounce around here, Lynn? You got any preference where I go to next?
No, because you've got the list and I don't.
All right. And the traditional Bank Holiday Classic in Kentucky, Lansetown a winner over Deltona, Florida, 67-51. James Madison signing Michael Christmas with 25 points and 6 rebounds. They beat Webb out of Tennessee the day before, 59-54. Up in the Lake Braddock Glory Days Grill Tournament of Champions, Lynn, Lake Braddock came in yesterday. Thomas will get a kick out of this. 9-1, averaging 96 points per game for a high school basketball team, 5 times over 100. So if you like high-scoring, entertaining basketball, Lake Braddock is the team for you. They were down last night at halftime to Green Run, 55-51. Green Run beats Lake Braddock by a count of 105-93 to win the championship. Ashley James with 48 points for Green Run. We're not sure if it's a school record. It's definitely a career high for Ashley James, who I believe is coming up with a 1,000-point mark in his career. So Kenny Harris's Stallions, they move to 9-2 overall on the season, Lynn. And how about this little stat nugget we threw out yesterday? When Green Run scores 70 or more points since 2012, they're 42-0.
That's an amazing stat.
Yeah. That means I had a lot of time on my hands to research that. Because I was wondering, they got to score a lot of points to beat Lake Braddock. So I'm like, what do you do when they get to 70? Because coaches always say, get to 70, hold the team to 50 or less. Right. Under 50, get to 70. Well, they're 42-0. So they beat Lake Braddock at its own game.
Just amazing. I mean, Lake Braddock, just amazingly high-scoring team up there, and Green Run just came in and gave them all they wanted and then some. 48 points. That's a lot of points in a high school game. And
here's the crazy part. He missed 9 free throws.
That's
he could have had 60, potentially.
That's a point and a half a minute in a 32-minute high school.
It is. Coach Harris had a chance to chat with him briefly yesterday. He says he's never seen a high school team shoot threes and sub the way Lake Braddock does. And our buddy Coach Young does a lot of subbing, and he's had kind of that up-tempo for many years going back to his Suffolk High days. But he said Lake Braddock is just a crazy, hard team to prepare for. He even made the comment, like he said, if we get a lead, we're going to tell them stop scoring, hold the ball, because they're hard to beat when they get up. And keep shooting threes like that. So Green Run a winner over Lake Braddock, 105-93. Let's keep going on with the Beach. They keep winning, these Beach teams. Kellam over Norcom, 67-48. Another double-double for Mason Makovic, the grandson of Jack Ankerson, as we mentioned with Norm Hassel last week. 13 points, 14 rebounds for him. And Josh Talbert, 21 points. He went over 1,000 this week for the Kellam Knights. That Player of the Year battle with Talbert, Ashley James, Michael Christmas. Who do you pick? It's hard to pick one of those guys.
I tell you, it's really difficult. We're halfway through the season. They're all three worthy candidates. The last half of the season will be interesting to see who goes the farthest in the playoffs, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Cox a winner over Great Bridge, 59-46. Kevon James, 22 points for the Lynchburg College commit. First Colonial. Good to know that we were not the jinx, Lynn. Mark Butts, they're winning despite Mark Butts coming on the show last week, so he didn't get the jinx. They beat Hickory 57-54 behind Shamar Yates' game-high 24 points. He's coming off back-to-back 30-point performances before that. And now First Colonial, which started 1-5, they're now 6-5, 5 consecutive victories for Coach Butts.
Not bad at all. I mean, he was kind of downplaying things a little bit last week, but definitely come on strong and just another good performance.
So while the Beach did very, very well, mentioned some scores there, let's go back real quickly here to Thursday's action over in the Allen Iverson Reebok Crossover Showcase. You had the Peninsula District versus the Eastern District, Lynn. And the Peninsula's got a lot of great teams. Phoebus has been undefeated, but you know that belt was coming. Did not fare too well against the Eastern District, as it was 0-4 against the Eastern. Lake Taylor beat Hampton 58-39. Crabbers are surprisingly and suddenly 5-6 overall. They had a 22-point lead earlier this week against Booker T and lost in overtime to Booker T. Zyrell Mitchell picked up an offer from Hampton University, 24 points, 10 rebounds for him. We'll try to hear from Kenny Brown. We got to play back with him of Lake Taylor later on the show as well. It was Churchland over Phoebus, 60-56. Probably the surprise of the day. Kyrie Temple did not play for Phoebus up in Philadelphia. Churchland wins at 60-56 behind Sharif Bynum, 17 points off the bench. You also had Norcom defeating Menchville 54-50. They lost yesterday to Kellam, but got the win over Menchville behind Torres Jones's 13 points, 11 rebounds for the JMU football signee, and Booker T over Kickitan 58-51. The lone Peninsula team to win, Bethel over Jamestown 74-50. Also good to know Craig Brehan did not get hit by the jinx of high school sports talk.
We had a good show last week.
We did. All the people we had on won, so you can't call us the jinx anymore. We can take off the SI cover and Madden cover jinx for us. Zaquan Sims with 28 points for Bethel. But very surprising, here's the crazy part about that, Lynn. Did some digging. All 4 of the Eastern District teams that won came in below 500. And all 4 of those Peninsula teams that lost to Eastern District teams were 500 or above coming in. How wild is that?
That is a really interesting stat. It may well show the depth and the toughness of the Eastern District, which historically has been a great basketball district. Peninsula District it's kind of strange. Peninsula District has been very, very up on this day, though. Wasn't there.
And those games were at the Hampton Coliseum. So it was on Peninsula turf that the Eastern District teams won, which is very surprising. I don't think that's going to happen in years to come. I think the PD will pick up its game.
No, but it's also playing at the Coliseum. It's like playing in a college facility or so forth. So it's not. It wasn't really home court for anybody, I don't think.
Yeah, different arena. And Lamont Struthers was one to downplay it to it. And coaches do this. But, there was some slipping for some guys. And that doesn't favor any team by any means. But you could tell there was some adjustment for some players. And I think we'll definitely see some good performances moving forward from the likes of Phoebus and Kickatina Menchville. I think it was just, I don't know if it's an aberration, but Eastern's very good this year. We didn't even get to Granby. We'll get to them in a second. They were playing out of town. A couple of their results from the last 2 nights. And that's a deep league this year. So sort of the big storylines. We mentioned the big showcase at Kings Fork, which has got the huge crowds. We mentioned the Beach of Success, the dominance from the Eastern over the Peninsula. We got to get to the gals, right? Big girls game last night.
Big one last night. I was just going to bring that up. Lake Taylor and Princess Anne. But year in and year out, probably the 2 best teams or two of the best teams in the entire state.
And this was a game that, Lynn, I got a message. It was literally 36-35, Princess Anne going into the 4th quarter, and then Darnell Dozier's Lady Cavs pull away from a very, very strong Lake Taylor team. Don't be shocked at all if both of these teams are playing for state championships, PA in Class 5, Lake Taylor in Class 4. The Lady Cavs of PA beat Lake Taylor 57-47 behind Jaisha Clinton's 18 points. And Isaiah James, the sister of Ashley James from Green Run, had 15 points and 8 rebounds for PA. Mahogany Lester Smith, the daughter of Joe Smith, with 12 points and 7 boards. Janiyah Quinterly had 17 in defeat for Lake Taylor. So Princess Anne will play in the championship at the Boo Williams Sportsplex today at 4:30 against New Hope Academy of Maryland, who beat St. Francis Prep of New York. Believe I was told last night New Hope is 15th in the country nationally by it's either ESPN or USA Today, so a very good team.
That school, to be honest, I've heard of a lot of schools. I've never heard of that one.
Supposedly they're really, really strong this year, nationally ranked, so should be a good battle. And Princess Anne, though not technically nationally ranked in any polls I've seen, always in the hunt and always worthy of it, with Coach Dozier having a 92% winning percentage in his career.
Very, very strong.
And trying to get another state title this year for the PA girls. A couple other results of note. It was Norview over Hampton in the silver bracket semis, 56-44. You had Ocean Lakes, a winner over St. Mary's Riken, 60-48 in Maryland. Don't have enough time to go through all of them, but a couple of the headline results here. Lynn Wilson over Chancellor, 52-40. Amaya Brady had 6 steals defensively there for them. Bayside, a winner over Salem, 36-28. Heritage, a winner over Grassfield, 39-27. Phoebus beating Green Run, 65-50. If you want to see scores around the state and many more, VirginiaPreps.com will have the full list through the Associated Press wire that we get. We're putting them up daily as we get them. So keep checking those lists, and we'll make corrections. If there's any incorrect scores reported, we'll edit them for you, so go check them out there. We also have the ScoreStream app, which is user-generated on our front page. So we got you set up all across the state.
And, of course, another one that won over there last night was Bishop Sullivan. We'll have Larry Bowman on later. They've won 2 straight 2-point games. They play Atlee in the finals tonight of their bracket.
And Coach Bowman coming up on, we got to think he's at 800, over 800 wins, just having a wonderful career with all his stop, First Colonial, Salem, Bishop Sullivan back again, one of the greats. He could be active wins leader, right, for girls or boys basketball in the area.
True. Of course, there's a little bit of an asterisk there because for several years when the private schools played in the fall, he was coaching both fall ball and winter ball. But still, it's 800 victories. I want to ask him if he remembers number 1.
That's a good, which one he got it against. Very good. So that'll conclude our scoreboard again. So many scores, it would take us literally about an hour to go through them all. We got to go to the phones, right?
Yes, we do. I bet I know who's there.
Is that Keith from Smithfield out there?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Oh, Keith, I appreciate you calling in. I know you were trying to duck it this morning, but hey, you got to give kudos to the Warriors. They played a great game last night. 22 steals. It was tight for a while, then they opened it up in the third.
Yeah, it was a tough game for us last night. We really got to get ready to bounce back tonight. You know, it's a good tough King Folk team thing again tonight.
And that's a big game, Keith, because your squad, the Packers and Kings Fork, battling for playoff positioning in Class 4, so these points matter now.
Yes, I'm going to tell the boys tonight before we tell the guys tonight. It's a big game tonight. Right now, I'm at the hospital now.
Uh-oh, what are you doing at the hospital?
I'm getting a checkup today. Check up today at the hospital.
All right.
They're taking blood work today this morning.
All right, make sure that checkup's good.
Yeah, we hope you're okay.
Yes, sir. And another thing, I got Lady Parkers. They played last night. Smithfield Lady Parkers played last night against Norfolk Christian. We beat Kicktown last other night.
Norfolk Christian, you say it was?
I think it was Norfolk Christian, Norfolk Academy.
Okay, because I'm showing, for some reason, unless it's just incorrect, I'm showing that they played against somebody else, not them. I'm showing Amelia County, but that could be incorrectly reported. Who knows?
Okay. Lynn, you coming out to the game tonight, Mr. Burke?
Unfortunately not. I won't. I have commitment tonight.
But he'll be following my updates and our updates on Twitter there, Keith.
I will definitely be doing that. I'll see if we have another picture of Matt and Keith together.
Yes, and the last thing I got one guy gonna be going to the Super Bowl this year. I hope he make it to the Super Bowl. And Derek Noddy in the Kansas City Chiefs.
Derek Noddy out of Ocean Lakes High School and played at Florida State for the Seminoles and did nice job of handing out turkeys around Thanksgiving holiday time. Defensive lineman. So you got the Chiefs going to represent the AFC.
The AFC and the AFC gonna be the New Orleans Saints.
All right. Who you like in the bowl games today? I mean, not all of them, but give me the Alabama, Oklahoma, and the Clemson Notre Dame games. Who you like?
I got Notre Dame beat Clemson today.
Ooh. I can't call you a front runner. That's a surprise there.
I'm looking at Oklahoma keep the game close. They can't beat them. I got a chance Alabama beating Oklahoma.
All right.
It'll be Alabama and Notre Dame in the championship.
I know the nation would love that. So you got one upset and one favorite there.
One favorite upset. I was big on upset the team I said a while ago. Georgia upset them. It's gonna be hard.
All right. Well, Keith, we hope you're doing well and the checkup goes A-OK, and I'll see you over there tonight at the kennel. All right.
Yes, sir, I'll be there tonight.
That is the one and only Keith from Smithfield. His Packers fell to 7-1 last night, but still a very strong squad. And Torrey Robertson in defeat, Lynn, had 22 points and 14 rebounds for Smithfield. Just the iron unkind from deep, 2 of 15 from 3. And when you have 27 turnovers to go with that, it's tough to sustain that one. And another team goes on a run. And Nansemond, they played very hard without Coach Young there last night. I think dedicating that game for him. As we said earlier, Coach Frost did a good job in his absence, diving on the floor for loose balls. You could tell they went maximum effort last night. It'd
be really nice if they could win tonight and bring a trophy back for when Ed gets back. Yeah,
a sentimental, people would root for, unless you're a Lakeland fan. Because a lot of Lakeland fans are saying, wait a second, we want our guys to win. And their only loss all year was to Great Bridge, close, in a game where Bravion Campbell did not play. So they're going to be a real threat in Class 3. I like Clint Wright's ball club a lot of weapons. They're going to be dangerous. And in a division where I think Phoebus is the favorite locally in 3, Lynn, but you got Norcom, you got Booker T. I don't think it's a cakewalk for anybody in that region.
Just again, the wealth of basketball talent in this area across the board is it's amazing.
It's definitely impressive. More to do here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Give us a call at 757-687-9494. Hit us up on Twitter, too, at HS Sports Talk 941 with Lynn Burke. I'm Matt Hatfield. Don't go anywhere. It's your home for sports, ESPN Radio 94.1.
Now back to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Here's Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Or Coach Lynn Burke. He's filling in today. Did you ever coach anything? I imagine you coached something recreational, softball or t-ball or something. Come on.
Well, I spent my whole professional career as a reporter, but I will admit that when I was a senior in high school, the school set up a 4th and 5th grade basketball league at lunchtime. I did coach a team there.
Really? Did you know how it went? 4th and 5th grade? Like, you remember?
Oh, if anybody scored 6 points in 10 minutes, the team, it was amazing. But I will say 2 of the kids I coached, one of them won over 500 games in his career, and the other one over 400. So
really?
So I, of course, take credit for them.
You should. Absolutely. It was that guidance and wisdom that you passed upon the young man at that time that enabled him to be so successful later on.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I can have that perspective. I want to know my coaching career. I coached a rec girls basketball at Great Neck one day because the coach wasn't there, and they were going to forfeit the game, so they threw me from the scores table to go coach. And trust me, when I got the lead with 4 points, we took the air out of the ball. We said, we're going to milk this thing. And a big win last night for Nansemond River. We caught up with a couple of Ed Young's players with him absent, grieving, as we all are grieving, the passing of his mom, Jeremiah Lewis and Rayshawn Murray. Let's hear what they told us after the win over Smithfield at Kings Fork High School on ESPN Radio 94.1. All right, I'm here with a couple of Nansemond River Warriors. We got Jeremiah Lewis. Good game for him yet again. Finished up with 14 points, 8 rebounds, 8 steals, close to the triple-double. And Rayshawn Murray, another defensive catalyst here, 15 points, 5 steals. Warriors win at 77-56 over a previously unbeaten Smithfield team. Jeremiah, let me start with you. Coach Young not here with his mom's passing. I know you guys dedicated this game to him. What do you think he would think of this performance tonight by you guys?
Oh, he would be honored. He would be proud of us because we played hard, played together, played as a team.
And coach probably preaches hustle, diving on the floor for loose balls yourself, along with Bryce Parker, Jeremiah. In the third quarter, you guys went on a burst of like 29-5. Where did that come from? Was that just going the extra mile for the game? Or?
Yeah, we just wanted it more. Everybody off the bench came with the intensity that we all wanted.
Mm-hmm. You guys got off to a good start, got up 9, and then Smithfield opened the second half, 8-0 run. Coach Frost called a timeout. What did he do to settle you guys down?
We had to slow it down. He told us to slow it down, run our game, don't do anything out of control.
Mm-hmm. They got a big guy inside, and you play against a lot of bigger guys. You're kind of the undersized post. Torrey Robertson, he had 22 and 14. What did you want to do to kind of keep him from going off and taking over this game?
I tried to keep him away from the basket, try to not let him get a move inside, but he got a couple off. I knew he was going to get a couple off, but I did my best I could.
Rayshawn, going back to the summer league, you've been known as kind of a defensive ace and also a three-point specialist. You hit a couple of big threes. What did that do, you think, for the momentum of the team there?
They turned it around completely. We was just lacking. Efficiency on the defensive end, so I wanted to pick that up also, so I picked that up. Then we came on the other end and started scoring also, and it wasn't just about layups. We wanted to get everybody inside the game, and somehow I ended up shooting 3, so I thank my teammates for that.
Couple more for you guys. What did Coach Frost say to you guys without Coach Young being here, going into a big game? They're an undefeated team in Smithfield. This game mattered for you guys, big picture playoffs, right?
Yeah, we treated them like every other team. We didn't underestimate them, and we gave it all. We wanted to do it for Coach Young.
Mm-hmm. You guys, last time out against Indian River, you kind of blew that game. You had that game won, lost in overtime. Did you guys know you couldn't do that again today?
Yeah, we knew we had to take smarter shots, be smarter on the floor, play harder defense, rebound harder, and play as a team.
How hyped are you for tomorrow night? You'll be playing either Kings Fork or Lakeland, a Suffolk rival. They're both very good, both ranked in the top 10. I think 10th each in the state, Kings Fork and Fork, Lakeland 3. It's a pretty big game, right?
Yeah, we're very excited to play them, either one. We're going to do our best I can, take them out.
What do you got to do to win?
We're gonna give it all, give it 100% on defense, offense. We're gonna do it for Coach.
You already do it for Coach Young. Rayshawn Murray, Jeremiah Lewis, Warriors get it done. They'll be playing Saturday night here at the Kennel for the championship. Thanks so much, guys. Good job. So a couple of Warriors from Nansemond River. Well spoken there with Rayshawn Murray and Jeremiah Lewis combining for 13 of those 22 steals, Lynn, and evening their record to 500. And these games are vital. As we mentioned to Keith before we hear from Clint Wright of Lakeland in just a second, these games are vital for Region 5A because, as we mentioned last week, you've got, despite Hampton kind of going in a slide right now, you know Eric Brown's Crabber's going to pick it up. Hampton's never goes through a bad stretch for long. And they're missing a key player that's out in Kareek Grogans. But you figure 6 of those 8 slots are probably going to be locked in with the likes of Morey, who's unbeaten, Norview, Green Run, Menchfield, Kickinton, and Hampton. So then you got really, for those last 2 spots, I think you're looking at Indian River and Nansemond River, Princess Anne, Kempsville. Kempsville did well in their tournament up in Maryland under Taft Tickman. I think they won all 2 or all 3 of those games. And Bethel could even sneak in there with Craig Breon's team. So these games and these out-of-district games, to me, are bigger than the district games. Am I wrong to think that? Or?
Well, one of the coaches we were talking to last week, I don't remember if it was Mark Butts or Craig Brehan or which one, talking about the non-conference schedule, where now you're not so geared up for a place in a district tournament, but you're aiming for a place in a regional tournament, which crosses all four of the districts. So you're trying to pick up as many points for seeding purposes as you possibly can.
And they got another one coming up against Lakeland. We caught up with Clint right after his team's hard-fought battle against Kings Fork at Kings Fork. Let's hear what he told us on ESPN Radio 94.1.
All right, I'm here with the Lakeland head basketball coach Clint Wright as Cavaliers defeat the Kings Fork Bulldogs in the Kings Fork Holiday Tournament. It was a packed house as expected, Coach. Two Suffolk teams getting together with great records. I think each was just one loss on the year. Down the stretch, I was watching this game thinking this might go to overtime or last shot. Were you impressed, surprised? You guys pulled away there at the end. How pleased were you that not that it come down to a last shot?
Well, definitely pleased with the outcome and pleased with the way we played in the stretch. I too thought it could potentially be an overtime deal. We weren't making free throws, we weren't making shots, but we definitely did a great job of just hitting shots when we needed to. We got some timely stops. We did a little shadow opportunity on Keontae Boyer, whom I think is probably one of the more talented players within the district, and I thought that playing him in a shadow mentality kind of slowed down some of the things that they really wanted to do. It created more shooting opportunities for us because this team typically tried to get it to him with all costs, and with those turnovers, we were able to convert them into layups and also three-point shots.
Well, we finished up with 15 points. We need to work extra hard for those points. And a guy pretty well used to play at Lakeland High School, and it's sort of the old, I guess, Jim Larinaga mentality when Jordan Mason beat UConn and said cut off the head of the snake. And your players said with Marcus Williams from UConn, that was Boyette, just not let him beat you, right?
That is correct. If anything, we were going to attempt to tie him out. We know that he's a very talented player that plays at all three levels, and we had Devontae Saunders to go in and do that shadow opportunity, which is very difficult to do. But him doing that kind of slowed their offensive production, and then it gave us opportunities to score. And at that particular time, we actually were very efficient, with doing that.
You proved very prophetic today because yesterday you told me you lost your one game close to Great Bridge, didn't have Rayshawn Campbell, your freshman stud, and I'll tell you, he's a two-sport stud, folks, coming off the bench for you. And today, 12 rebounds, 10 defensive. He was a man inside.
Very few players come around that often, like a Rayshawn Campbell, very light on his feet. We knew that coming off the football field, once he got into basketball shape, that he would be a force to reckon with. Rayshawn Campbell brings so much, from leadership, to control, to our game. And any team would love to have that inside force that you can have balance, with outside shooting.
Mm-hmm. And this was kind of a physical type, but it would be that type of aggressive game. I thought early Clint Livingston gave some of those tenacity, hard-nosed plays, and then second half it was Campbell type. You feel like he kind of kept them from going in the paint?
I think he maintained that type of poise. We talked about protecting the paint and crowding, and we knew that they like to get a lot of straight-line drives, and we wanted to limit, the number of straight-line drives. And we want them to actually avoid us being there. Rayshawn Campbell brings us that, made them actually avoid, coming to the rim and things of that nature. So again, him being in there, every time he's in there, we felt like we've got a moderate advantage and an opportunity for success.
Yeah, last year, appreciate your time. Looking at this game tonight, two of your standouts, I think, were with Q Livingston having his typical offensive output and Clint Wright struggling your son to find a shot in a huge game against Churchland. Kamari Artis, 21 points, 7 rebounds, 8 and 9 from the foul line, clutch to the line. Then Ray Bellamy, 10 points, 8 in the fourth quarter. He really became that facilitator when you needed him early in the fourth quarter.
That is correct. And again, at any given time, we've got 5 or 6 players that can lead us in scoring. We won't lean on just one player to do that because, again, if you cut the head off the snake, that'll definitely be our detriment. But we ensure that all players have the green light. And tonight was Kimari's night to score and to shoot, when that opportunity presented himself. We do feel that Clint will get other opportunities. Tonight just simply wasn't his night.
You knew coming in the championship game would be a big game, whether it was Smithfield or Nansemond River. You get Nansemond River and played without coach on one of maybe its best games of the year and pulling away from an unbeaten Smithfield team. The matchup with them, it seems like if you guys control the backboards, it's a game for you to win, right?
Well, anytime you can play against a rival squad, and of course Nansemond River, that goes back much larger than the Kings Fork, rivalry. We're super excited about the opportunity. With the absence of coach, it's always an exciting opportunity, to coach against Ed. He's here on tomorrow to do that. But we do feel that if we do the things that we do well, I think that we can at least win the game by 1 point, which is actually the score. We're going to respect the opponent. We're going to watch film tonight and look at some of the things we think Nansemond do. And we're going to put our game plan together at shoot-around tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have a successful attendance and then also a successful basketball game.
Cavs go for a championship Saturday night here at the Kennel in Suffolk. We'll see you there.
Great job. Appreciate you.
So Lakeland coach Clint right there, you heard on High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1 after his team's 59-49 win in a packed-to-capacity crowd at the Kennel. Lakeland defeating Kings Fork, so Lakeland plays Nansemond River in the championship. And a program, Lynn, that I don't think got its 5th or 6th win until about mid-January last year. They've already eclipsed that mark here as they go into 2019, looking for one more tonight. Rebounding, to me, is going to be the key to that game.
Yeah, and this is one of the original Suffolk matchups when Suffolk redid its school system, 25 years ago, and closed Suffolk High and John Yates and Forest Glen, so forth. And Lakeland and Nansemond River were the two high schools. So they were the original rivalry. Then Kings Fork came along.
Yeah, there's always some great rivalries in the area for basketball. You think of the Norfolk teams, Maury and Granby, who play each other coming up here pretty soon. They've already played once in the district tournament. Hampton Bethel, Hampton Phoebus on the peninsula, and then you get any of those three Suffolk schools against each other. It's always a war, a battle there, a real physical one. So more playbacks to do on High School Sports Talk today. We've got Lake Taylor's Kenny Brown a little bit later on, Josh Talbert of Kellam, who's hearing from CNU and some other schools for the next level. And we'll take your calls, too, at 757-687-9494 on Lynn Burke's favorite radio station. You know it's ESPN Radio 94.1.
Recapping another busy week of prep sports, it's High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Back here with you on this final Saturday of December in 2018 before we turn the calendar to 2019. It'll be literally done in 50 hours, Lynn? Actually, no, it'll be 49 hours and 15 minutes.
Something like that.
The ball will drop and we'll all yell Happy New Year. And you'll be zonked out in the recliner and I'll be half awake.
I'll be asleep.
Yeah, I'll be half awake. Well, we played interviews earlier from the Suffolk Showdowns out there at Kings Fork. We also were in Virginia Beach yesterday. Before that, Kellam and Norcom battled. Believe it might have been the first time since their memorable regional matchup with Trey Freeman, Ramon Snowden against Dorian Finney-Smith and that crew at the Scope when Kellam was unbeaten and lost that one close to Norcom in a heartbreaker. Well, no heartbreak for the Knights yesterday. Josh Talbert leading the way for them, and we caught up with the 1,000-point scorer and senior guard for Kellam High on ESPN Radio 94.1. Let's give it a listen now.
Okay, I'm here with Kellam senior guard Josh Talbert. He's checking in about 19 points a game. Just got 1,000 points yesterday in his great Kellam career, and he finishes up today with 21 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. The Knights move to 8-1, 7 straight wins. They defeat Norcom 67-48. All right, I know Norcom hasn't been as consistent as some of their state championship teams, but to beat them with their name and their history and to beat them by the margin you did, you guys got to feel pretty good going into the new year?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We knew coming in that they were really well coached and that they've been to, 3 state championships. They got a big team. They're physical. We knew that they were going to be up in us. And, we just came in thinking that we need to play smart, just control the tempo of the game and just execute everything on offense. And it really went well. Offense flowed a lot. The defense, we put a lot of good pressure on them. We were able to beat the press, and it was good. It was a good win.
It's interesting. You've kind of been in that mention of the Player of the Year candidates away from the beach with yourself, along with Ashley James of Green Row, Michael Christmas, Lansdowne Cox has some good guards, and you're known for scoring the ball. Got 1,000 points yesterday. 21 points, 5 assists today, though. I think they were kind of keen on you, and the threes were open for your teammates, 5 of 7 from deep to start. Did you kind of notice that you could drive and kick and open up the floor a little bit? Or?
Yeah, throughout the game, we realized that they were trying to let me go left in our plays and whatnot, and so we decided that I would take the ball out in the press and get it to one of our guards and then let me go for a fast break and create for my teammates. Every game it's been like this, guys doubling me, they stick a guy on me, boxing ones. So I'm really trying to win games, create for my teammates, and however it comes, we'll take the win where we get it.
Sure, we'll get back to your game in a second, but tell me more about some of these teammates in the lineup with you. Mason McCovic, the sophomore inside, Noah Reedy, Colby Morris. You got 2 big guys with Mason and Colby, and then Michael McNeil also handling the ball with you. It seems like you've got a well-rounded, balanced attack.
Yeah, Michael McNeil's he stepped up. He's played really well for us. He hit big shots in important games, and he handles the ball when we need him to. He knows what he's doing out there. He can defend guys, and then Noah Reedy, he hit some big shots. He's really smart. He finds me when we need him to, and he hit some big shots in the corners in some important games against Green Run. Mason, Colby, they're great. They finish at the rim. They do everything new. Colby can step out, hit threes. Mason can hit mid-ranges. It's really well-balanced starting 5 right there. And then we got some big guys that come off the bench and do really well for us.
I know you got a lot of schools looking at you. I hear through the grapevine, CNU's very hard on you. Give us an update on recruiting. What's it looking like? And what are you thinking about the captains right now? Are they high on your list?
Well, CNU and Randolph-Macon. Okay. And I've talked to probably every D3 school in Virginia and whatnot. So I'm kind of numbering it down right now, and I'm kind of just figuring out what I like, what I don't like. And I'll make a decision soon when I'm ready.
Sure, I'm sure Coach has this conversation with you too before. There's been some guards in the beach that are looking like D3 all day in the last minute, like an Austin Keenan from First One goes VMI. Are you still holding out for D1, D2, or are you looking at D3?
That's what I've been kind of waiting on right now. Okay. So just seeing if anything comes, that's awesome. If it doesn't, then I'm just going to do what I need to do.
Last part on the recruiting before you finish up on your team. What are you looking for in a school, and what would be your message to programs out there why they should get involved with recruiting?
I'm just looking for whatever's going to fit my style of play. Do I fit in with the team, the guys, what they like, the coaches, how they coach, just the school, the atmosphere, everything. I've taken everything into account, so whatever works for me.
Good deal. And lastly, you guys are on a hot streak here. I think 7 in a row, as I said, since the Green Run loss, which was close, and you could have won that game. What's changed about this team, and do you feel like, every year Kellam's right there on the cusp. Has this team got something different about it, or?
I feel like we all know, we talk about it all the time in practice, that we can go into any game, no matter who it is, if we think we can win. Mm-hmm. If we execute, do our job. There's a lot of great teams on the beach, like Lansdowne, Cox, A lot of teams are good this year, and they're giving us fights, and we just need to pull them out in the end and win games.
It's Josh Talbert of the Kellam Knights, an unsigned senior. Keep an eye on him. His team could be dangerous come playoff time. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
That was Josh Talbert. Kellam, they defeat Norcom yesterday, Lynn, rather handily, which doesn't happen too often. The Greyhounds. It's high school sports talk on ESPN Radio 94.1, and Kellam on a little hot streak here, 7 straight wins.
It certainly sounds like if he goes the D3 route, any school in the state's going to be really happy to get him.
Oh, no question about it. And you heard there, CNU and Randolph making very high on his list, putting up points left and right. And Kellam, as we mentioned last week with Norm Hassel, they've been knocking on that state tournament door, shot the ball very well, opening the floor up. So they're going to be a frustrating team to play because they're so patient and they play with such a high basketball IQ.
Yeah, they'll aggravate teams that like to get out and go, maybe aren't very disciplined. With the discipline that they have, they're going to cause the team some problems.
So we'll see if they can win a championship. A team that won a championship last March, their first ever in boys basketball. You know about their girls basketball and football programs winning state titles under the Sawyers. Saunders Sawyer for girls basketball, Hank Sawyer for football. Well, Kenny Brown got his first ring, and he was flashed it to us on our interview you can see on Virginia Preps and on the YouTube page. And we caught up with Lake Taylor's coach, Kenny Brown, after they beat Hampton at the Reebok-Iverson Crossover Showcase. Titans got a good one in Zyrell Mitchell, a D1 talent who's a junior. We talked about that and more. Let's give it a listen now on ESPN Radio 94.1.
All right, I'm here with Lake Taylor head boys basketball coach Kenny Brown, the defending state champion Titans. 58-39, they defeat the Hampton Crabbers today here in the Iverson Reebok Crossover Showcase. Coach, played some quality competition in the Eastern District and out of conference. So you had Petersburg last weekend. Nice to get that little losing skid you had out of the way here and played really a complete second half tonight against a good Hampton squad.
Yes, and we know Eric Brown and them, they do a great job, and they well disciplined. So we just got a little out of character throwing the ball away when they start trapping. And we just made adjustments in the second half, kind of like let Malik Newton pretty much bring the ball up and take some pressure off of Zyrell Mitchell. And I thought Zyrell finished very well tonight. And losing 5 in a row with a very, very young team, we needed a win. We needed a win, and to get 7 days off before we go to Booker T, that was a well-fought win against a good team.
Yeah. What can you say about Zyrell Mitchell? As I've watched a couple of your former state champs walk by, and Darion Sebron and Jalen Jordan tonight, people have said he's got a little mini DB in him. Zyrell Mitchell, filling a stat sheet for you. I think he might have got off from Hampton tonight. He's really playing well for you in all facets of the game.
Yes. I mean, he's an alpha dog. I mean, he's a go-getter. I mean, complete bulldog mindset. He's going to keep playing relentless. Now he's hitting the jump shot. He's shooting the jump shot well. And he's getting to the cup against anybody. And, hey, man, what a blessing from God just to have an offer from Hampton University, my alma mater.
Yeah, how about that?
And that's good for the kid. But I think he's going to help. He's going to carry the team. As far as Zyrell go, we go.
How is his game different from Sebron? How are they alike? And have you tried to sit him down like, hey, just be Zyrell, don't try to be him? Has that been anything you've talked about or not really?
No, we don't even have to talk about it. I tell you what, Darion Sebron really encouraged him.
Okay.
He encourages him, to do his thing. But one thing that he do different from Darion will get to the cup consistently. Zyrell can hit the jump shot. It looks funny, but it's very accurate.
Yeah.
So we just pretty much let them go.
Come on for you. It's now the thing, but you've got some other pieces in place, just trying to find those consistent second, third options, guys that consistently do other facets of the game, because you got some pieces in place, just no matter if they're young, they were coming off the bench for you, or they weren't, in that lineup last year.
Yeah. Well, what we're doing, a great addition with DeVionte Tyler, and then once Malik Newton get his legs on him, and then Jeff Foster is doing a good job, coming in as a reserve guard. But our bigs, we just want to teach them game after game to be relentless on the boards, become monsters, and do whatever we have to do with a new group just to get in 4A.
Yeah,
that's all I want to do is get in 4A.
Lastly, you've kind of built, I think Lake Taylor has a brand and identity these last few years. You won a state championship, you got to another one. People know about you. You're going to have a target on your back when you walk in the gym now. If you had to talk about that with your kids and your staff, hey, people know who we are when we come to the gym now, and let's just get in the tournament because they don't want to see us in the first round because of who we are.
Exactly. I mean, even if we're a 7 seed, I don't think the 2 seed, thinking about home court advantage of this Lake Taylor Titans. But the great thing was, look how Petersburg celebrated when they beat us at the buzzer.
Yes. It meant something to beat Lake Taylor, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And and I think that's from Darion and Joe Bryant and what they did to guys last year. Guys got a chance to get some get back, a la LC Burke, and they did what they were supposed to do. But I tell you, the schedule that we got set with John Marshall, Western Branch, you got Maury twice, you got Granby again, tough Eastern District. This is going to prepare us injury-free. This is going to prepare us for that 4A tournament.
Yeah, well, those Titans in 2018 left a legacy, trying to do so in 2019. Thanks so much. Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir.
Good job.
Appreciate it.
Nice job.
Thank you.
That was Lake Taylor coach Kenny Brown. His boys basketball team got a win to snap their losing skid of 5 straight defeats. They beat Hampton Crabbers on Thursday at the Reebok Iverson Crossover Showcase. I had to think what day it was, Lynn, because I've been all over the place all week. I think I've seen like 14 games live in the last 3 days. Needless to say, I've seen enough basketballs bouncing all over the place.
And
I'm
you're
ready
going
for
to see
some
more
football
tonight.
ball games. I will. I'll see 2 more tonight. I won't see 5 or 7 like the last couple of days. But he brings up an interesting point. Last Saturday, while I was out doing some final Christmas shopping, I watched Creed 2, by the way, movie. Go see it. If you haven't seen Creed 2, have you seen it yet? Thomas,
No.
you seen it yet? Creed 2, got to check it out. It's a good movie. I didn't get a chance to get over to Atlantic Shores or Lake Taylor, so I took a little break from the basketball, knowing that I'd be seeing a lot coming up. And Petersburg came back to beat Lake Taylor. And ironically, Naquan Greer Lyons, I think his name is, if I'm not mistaken, or Lyons Greer. I think it's Greer Lyons. I hope I'm not messing it up there. Played for Lake Taylor last year as a reserve on their state title team. He hit the game-winning shot to beat Lake Taylor, and they stormed the court and celebrated. But you know this, and I remember it years ago when Hampton was coming off its state title with Tyrod Taylor, and Indian River beat them to open the season, and they rushed the field. And when you beat somebody that's really good, and there's a celebration, there's a reason why, because you beat somebody that matters. And Lake Taylor's kind of got that now in basketball for boys, even though their record isn't glossy at this moment.
Right, but they're still Lake Taylor, and at the end of the season, they're still going to be very, very good. Yeah. Still going to be in the hunt.
Yeah, that's a dangerous. We talked about maybe Kings Fork and Smithfield being one of the top seeds in Region 4A. Lake Taylor is one of those lower seeds that they could. I'm not sure they'll win the bracket this year. They're certainly capable of doing it, and they got Zyrell Mitchell leading the way. You don't want to draw them in the first round because that's a game where the seeds, you could make the case that the lower seeds, the better, or the favorite in that game, which is rare. So.
Well, it's the way things fall, too, is they're going to have a tough start to the season. But as they pick up going down near the playoffs, they could be one of the 2 or 3 best teams, but the seeding won't show it because of the way the season began. And
Kenny Brown was all smiles with Zyrell Mitchell getting that offer from Hampton since he played for the Pirates back in the day. Edward Buck Joyner was there all day doing some scouting from the seats there at the Iverson Crossover Showcase, the head coach at Hampton U, and they got a good local one in Jermaine Merrow, who's among the nation's top scorers now for the Pirates. I tell you who's a team flying under the radar in the state, and they're moving up to number 1 in our state rankings in Class 1 at 11-1 overall. The Surry Cougars. Coach James Pope's got a great squad over there. They beat Bruton the other night, and then they followed up with a win over Peninsula Catholic in the championship. We caught up with them the night before that in the first game against Bruton, and here's what he told us about his team. They got Norview coming up January the 8th on a Tuesday night, which will be a good game. Here's what Coach Pope had to tell us about the Surry Cougars. We know we got some Surry fans out there on ESPN Radio 94.1. Land, let's give it a listen now on ESPN Radio.
All right, here with Surry head basketball coach James Polk. His Cougars moved to 10-1 as they defeat the Bruton Panthers 72-43 in the Joseph ALS Holiday Classic. Coach, we saw this team a year ago sort of burst on the scene and begin to show promise with the young nucleus to bring back a lot of the squad, much like the girls' team. And here we are chatting about this team being a real threat in Class 1 tonight. You came out, had a couple of nice runs to end and start quarters. That's kind of the sign of maturity of this team a little bit?
Absolutely. I told them what we have to start doing is we have to finish quarters, halves, and ball games. So they're really taking a heed to that. Sometimes at points last year we didn't do that, so that was a point of emphasis for this year.
1-2 punch for you. Zamar Slade on the inside. He gives you 18 points. Some nice dunks, also showing some touch on the outside. And then your son, Monty Pope, gets the 1,000-point ball. 18 points, 9 boards for little guys, 7 assists. He almost had a triple-double. Those two guys really stir the straws that stir the drink, if you will.
Absolutely. Along with Brandon Drew really brings us another threat definitely from the outside. They also a good rebound inside too. Then we got some younger guys who are stepping up, but those two are the heart and soul of our team, inside and outside. But we had 4 guys averaging double figures, so we kind of distribute the ball. Some games, one guy may have 10, other games guys have 14 to 15 points, so we kind of distribute the ball.
Yeah, an unselfish effort tonight as you finish up with about 15, 16 assists. And down a key man tonight, you still show that depth in your bench. I mean, those guys give you 36, the 1-2 punch, then you get 36 from players 3 through 10 pretty much.
Correct. That mean we work on, man. We work on next man up. Everybody comes in, play their role. If you call to give us 10 minutes a game or you call to give us 2 minutes a game, come in and give 110%. And, we got one goal. We're one team, one goal.
Yeah, defensively, you're able to mix it up, whether you want to go full court, half court, trapping, diamond, whatever kind of pressures and traps you do. 32 turnovers you forced tonight. I mean, is that the MO of this team?
Definitely. With our depth, I told them we're going to have to put pressure on guys. Can't sit back and just let guys get in the comfort zone. So we're going to try to put pressure on them. I know we can score, but we want to try to turn some guys over. So we've been doing really well in that department. So we're going to continue. We're going to keep putting pressure on guys, just give them different looks between even and odd fronts, and continue to get turnovers and push the ball up the floor.
It won't show on the stat sheet. This will sound strange to the viewers and listeners out there. Is that I'm watching Jalen Wright for you, and every time I see him in a possession, he's covered whoever has the ball. He looks like he's another unsung hero for you defensively.
Absolutely. He was big for us last year, and I think we would have been good. He missed the last 5 games of the regular season and all the playoffs last year. Well, he tore some ligaments in his ankle, so that kind of hurt us last year because he was our best on-ball defender last year. So he's definitely, we always put him on the opposing team's better guard, which has always been well for us.
We hear this all the time about we're going to play up and test ourselves with a strong out-of-conference schedule. And you play in the Traverse District, which has no cupcakes. There's some good basketball, tough atmospheres, great crowd tonight. But playing in the Fall League, the Benmore Fall League at the Bowman Sports, what did that do playing some Class 6, Class 5 kids? Seems like your kids have a little bit of I wouldn't call it a cockiness or swagger, but some confidence to them.
Well, absolutely. Last year, I kind of took the mold from my years of coaching at AAU. We had the younger guys, we played our age group, but I told them we'd get a better look, and we have our guys better prepared if we play up.
Yeah.
All right, so that's what we did. So last year I told them we could put them in the Fall League. We're not worried about wins or losses. We just give you playing some better competition so you can see a faster level. So it started last year once we got through some games. They started getting some confidence, and this year they felt like we could play with anybody. That's how we feel. No matter the class, we think we can give ourselves a shot if we do the things necessary.
And if I'm mistaken, you got to the semifinals of the bracket, didn't you, of that tournament?
Yeah, absolutely.
It was you guys, Tallwood, Peninsula Catholic, Nansemond. Oh, by the way, Peninsula Catholic, you got them coming up in the championship
absolutely.
of this. It's funny, both of you teams can hit threes, but tonight neither one of you did it. So
absolutely.
What are we expecting from that game tomorrow night?
Well, we're going to play man. We may play a little bit of zone. But to me, I'm a man guy, so I say now we may play a little bit of zone, but it all depends. I just love playing man-to-man, so making everybody accountable. Unless a team that really can shoot, and I know they didn't shoot it well tonight, but I know they are capable of hitting some threes. So I don't like to sit back. So I like guys that become on each other.
Well, hey, whether you go to the weekend 11-1 or 10-2, this team is for real. The Surry Cougars, boys and girls, might be going to states come March. We'll keep it tuned. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you, man.
Good job, man.
All right, appreciate it.
And Lynn, they go to the weekend 11-1, not 10-2, because they did beat Peninsula Catholic on Was that Thursday? That was Thursday, yeah. I went out there on Wednesday. My days are mixed up. Hey, Thomas, Lynn's got me beat, though. How many games did you do in 6 days?
This was when I was a whole lot younger, had a whole lot more ambition.
And a lot more hair.
And a lot more hair. Well, a little bit more hair. I did, over 6 days, I covered 12 and I watched 13 more.
So you did 25 games.
25 games in 6 days.
Man.
I was nuts.
Yeah, you were
more
nuts.
than so than I am.
Yeah, you were pretty nuts there.
I went to Richmond one day when I was off, and I think this is when Clyde Austin was playing, Clyde DeGlide playing for Maggie Walker. I wanted to see him play. So the tournament someplace there, and then the tournament, I think at Benedictine, I went over there and saw not all, but most of 5 games that day.
Well, Surry ended up winning the championship for boys, 67-58 over Peninsula Catholic. Monty Pope, who also won over 1,000 points, got the MVP. And the girls, they also were victorious, winning their championship. Even easier that they beat their opponent by, which was Lancaster, 61-24. So if you're looking for a daily double, we've had it in the past, Lake Taylor boys and girls teams. Surry could be maybe our area's best bet for both boys and girls getting to the state final. They're certainly in the conversation.
Absolutely in the conversation. Surry's had a great basketball tradition over there with, of course, the tournament there is named for the late Joe Ellis, who coached them to a state championship.
Which is great to see, yeah.
His final game, one of the most emotional games that I've ever been to. And the girls have been really strong the last few years. So it's a good basketball territory over there.
It really is. When we return, we'll be chatting with Larry Bowman, head girls basketball coach at Bishop Sullivan. That's coming your way on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com, only on ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Unplugged.
Back here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Matt Hatfield with you. We got Lynn Burke filling in for the coach, Ed Young. And at this time, we have a special guest on the line, Lynn. We think he is the active wins leader in the Hampton Roads area, we dare say the state, for girls or boys basketball. He's had a great career, a Hall of Fame level career from his days coaching at First Colonial and Salem, and now back at Bishop Sullivan again. We welcome Coach Larry Bowman of the Bishop Sullivan girls program. Coach, how you doing? Happy holidays and a happy New Year to you.
Well, happy New Year to you guys. Appreciate you having me on.
No question. We enjoy having you on the program. And before we get to matters that really matter with basketball and your team playing today, in fact, over at the Boo Williams Sportsplex, the Booplex as we call it, Coach Young is not here. His mom passed away, but we got Lynn filling in. And I know I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up, we asked coaches last week their favorite Christmas movie. And for those that don't know, yours is Love Actually.
Well, it is. You know, I just me and my wife enjoy watching that every year. It's a nice little Christmas movie. So we try to always make it a tradition to watch that every year.
Now, I don't want to speak too much for Ed, but I've been, browsing the TV, and mine's A Christmas Story. And I noticed the other day when they had the marathon on TBS and TNT, it came on after it. And I've watched a couple of moments of it. In fact, Ed, I believe, told me he sat there and watched about halfway through it, and then he got a couple of phone calls from one of his coaches, and it took him off. And he says, I got to watch the end of that movie. Larry says it's a good one. I was kind of getting into it. But I've not sat down and watched it fully yet, Larry. But Lynn said he and the wife, they've got it on the agenda.
At some point, yes.
Lynn, you'll enjoy it. It's good. Your wife will probably enjoy it more than you, but it's a good movie.
Well, let's put it this way. When I left home, she was still watching the Hallmark Christmas movies that she has DVR'd.
Sounds like my mother-in-law.
Well, let's get into it about your team. Team is playing pretty well. You've had some good competition. What's this tournament over there at the Booplex do for your squad as you go into 2019?
Oh, it's terrific. We tried to make a tough schedule here in December so we could kind of prepare this team for conference play. And playing in this tournament, we've had 2 nail-biters. We beat Phoebus by 2 on Thursday night, and then we won in overtime by 2 last night. So we've had 2 terrific games over there, and today's going to be a real battle against a very good athlete team from Richmond.
Coach, what do you know about Atlee? How do you match up with them?
Well, I think we match up well with them. They're really similar to us. They run a lot of sets, and they look like they're they've got good fundamentals. So it's going to be a good one, I think. Of course, you never know until you get out on the court, but we saw them a little bit last night. We didn't see them the night before, but we saw them a little bit last night against Churchland, and they beat a good athletic Churchland team. So it's going to be a battle.
It's got to help your girls, too, down the stretch to have played those two really, really close games, so they've got some experience in close ones so far.
Oh, absolutely. That's we've had two overtime games now that we've won, and we just want to prepare for conference play. That's really what our season is all about. We're finally back in the TCIS after I guess a couple of years out, maybe 3, and it's good to be back in, and our girls have an opportunity now to compete for a conference championship, opportunity to maybe get some individual honors in the conference, which they haven't had for the last few years. So they deserve it. We got great kids on our team and really work hard. So we're looking forward to January and February.
Have you noticed a difference in the way your kids are approaching things since they are, like you say, back in the TCIS and now have goals to play for?
Well, you know what? I don't think it's hit them yet because, we haven't played any conference games yet. And I think they're just focusing on, we try to get them to just focus on the next game. And right now, I don't think that's hit them yet, but at least they don't talk about it. So, but I think once we start next week, or I guess the week after next, they'll understand the importance of it.
Yeah, I was looking at your schedule. Start off, I think, January 8th against Norfolk Christian. That starts the month and a half run of TCIS games.
Right, and we're really looking forward to that. I know the coaching staff is. We feel like we have the opportunity maybe to compete for a championship. There's some good teams in the league, but we played a lot of them last year. We didn't play them all, and we didn't get the job last year till about the middle of October. So we didn't really have time to prepare our team for a full season of play. This year we had March to November, which is an important time of the year for us, and we were able to do a lot of things to get this team much more prepared. And I think we have the opportunity anyway to compete for a championship. Of course, when you play every team only one time, anything can happen. So you never know.
Yeah, it's you used in some conferences to play the double round robin just to play everybody once, though. You've got one chance at them. Right.
You have a kid sick or a kid hurt or just the chips don't fall right that night. It could result in something you don't want. But it's the same for everybody. So we'll just approach it one game at a time and see how it goes.
Can you go through some of your personnel for us?
Yeah, we've got we start 2 seniors. Tisha Kahis, who's I think she was first team All-State field hockey player, and she's really the engine that makes our team go. She's our point guard. She may be our leading scorer. We've got 5 kids that can score at any time, so we have different leading scorers every game. But she might be our leading scorer. But she handles the ball. She gets us in our offense. She's quick as lightning. One of the quickest players I've ever coached, and she's a good one. She's a junior, so we'll have her again next year. Vicky Santana plays 100% all the time. Had a big night Thursday night against Phoebus, scored 19. Last night she had 2 big steals at the end of the game. We were down 6 last night with about a minute and a half left, and we managed to tie it to get it into overtime. And she had 2 big steals in that last 2 minutes that resulted in baskets for us that let us tie it. So, I think our kids are understanding that you don't have to score a lot of points to really contribute to the team. And I think once kids understand that if they rebound or get some steals or, play really good defense, that they're contributing just as much as players who score. So Vicky does a great job with that. And our other senior, Annabelle Smith, terrific 3-point shooter. Last year, I think she had almost 70 threes for the season. This year, she's kind of in a little shooting slump, but she hit 2 big ones in the fourth quarter last night. Again, that got us right back in the game. And she's one of the best shooters I've coached from the 3-point line. She can really knock it down. We're looking for her to really come out of this slump and have some big games down the road.
Go ahead, Coach.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to talk about Bryn Matthews.
Yeah.
Bryn is a junior post player. She's almost 6 feet tall, and
Coach, are you there? Did we lose you? I think we may have got disconnected or something there. Let's see if we can dial him back up there, Thomas. We lost him for a brief second there. I, like you, Lynn, went right for my headphones thinking it went out for a second, but that looks like that was on him, not us. So we will try to reconnect there with Larry Bowman. He was telling us about one of his key players in Bryn Matthews, who had the layup at the buzzer to lift them in their overtime win in the Blue Bracket semifinal over John Paul the Great by a count of 38-36 in the Boo Williams Sportsplex, the Holiday Classic Championship tournament there. They play tonight at 7:30 p.m. against Atlee. Matthews had 13 points and 5 blocks, while Atisha Kahis, who we mentioned as well, Lynn, had 7 assists. So we'll get him dialed back up. He has mentioned some of the key players with Atisha and others, and was talking about Bren, a 6-foot-tall post player for them. And we'll get to Coach Bowman's great win total. It's High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94 point. Just the modern technology we have sometimes does that.
Sometimes computers are great, and then when they glitch, they glitch.
As much as we complain about them, where would we be without them? So I think we have Coach Bowman back on the line. As we mentioned, Bryn Matthews had the layup at the buzzer yesterday in their OT win in the Blue Bracket semis over John Paul the Great. And he was telling us about Bryn Matthews' 13 points, 5 blocks yesterday. Coach, let's pick it back up there. You mentioned Bryn, right?
Yeah, Bryn has just really developed from the time we saw her in October of last year until now. She's put in a lot of hard work over the summer and really developed into a good post player. Of course, she hit the big basket at the buzzer last night, but again, that was Vicky getting a steal and kicking it ahead to Tisha, and Tisha finding Bryn on the other block, and she laid it up right at the buzzer to win it. So, but Bryn's really, I got to give her a lot of credit. She has gone from a project to turned into somebody that's really, really helping us this year, and she's going to have a nice career, I think, this year and next year. Then our fifth starter is a freshman who is just going to be a phenomenal player. Her name's Jorah Epley. She's a 5'8" guard, and she's learning the ropes. I think varsity's a big jump. She played JV last year as an 8th grader, but Jorah has the potential to be one of the better players we've ever coached. She continues to develop. She's got a chance to maybe get up around 5'11", and really has all the skills that you need, and works on her game year round. Really, really a good player. So we've got, we're looking right now to try to develop some players off the bench, because it's tough to go with just 5. We got 5 really nice starters who can all score, who can all rebound, who can all handle the ball. But we need to get some help off the bench, and we're trying to develop Bella Woods and Sydney Stock and Danny Catan, get them to give us some good minutes.
It's High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. And we're joined by Larry Bowman. He's the head girls basketball coach at Bishop Sullivan, who's in action tonight at 7:30 p.m. in the Blue Bracket Championship at the Boo Williams Sportsplex against Atlee, usually a contender in the Richmond area. ESPN Radio 94.1. And Coach Bowman, Lynn, over 800 wins in his decorated career.
Yeah, that's what we're doing some figuring up earlier. And Larry, when you took the job at Bishop Sullivan, Jamie Frankenberry at the Pilot wrote you had 788, and then counting last year and this year puts you well over 800 now. Well, I mean, that's just, you've been doing it a long time, so you're going to get wins, and fortunate to have had some great players over the years. So, that's, it's a nice honor, but we just, I can think of about probably 250 losses too, so got to count those too.
He's too modest, Lynn. He's too modest.
I know. I was saying in an earlier segment, I was going to ask you this. Do you remember your first victory back in 1983?
Absolutely. It was. I was coaching at Green Run. I was actually coaching at Brandon Junior High, and the coach at Green Run got sick, and the principal at Green Run, Wiley French, called me up and said, "Coach, can you take the job at Green Run? Our coach, can't coach this season." This was like November 1st, and I said, "Sure, I'll do it." I spent all of November watching every one of Bill Cochran's practices, and we opened the season with Churchland, and I just remember that we won. I couldn't tell you the score or anything, but I know we were 1-0, and that was nice. Yeah, I was fortunate to work with. I have Bill Cochran and then Mark Butts, two boys coaches that I worked with for about 25 years, I guess. And when you're around guys like that and you can watch the things they do, it really helps you. And then I've got two terrific assistant coaches. I got Billy Stokes, who's a young guy with a lot of energy and really just what I need. And he's got a great basketball mind. And Marty Campbell's our other assistant, who is another tremendous help. So, when the older you get, you got to be smart enough to surround yourself with good assistant coaches, and I've got two really good ones. So.
Well, very, very much so. And Lynn, if you throw in Cochran and Butts to go with Larry Bowman, you're looking at like 1,500 wins with those three guys there.
You're looking at a bunch of victories. What keeps you going after all these years?
Well, you know what? I just enjoy it. I enjoy practice. I enjoy being around the kids. And being retired. You got to do something. You can't just sit around and watch games on TV. So I did retire and took a year off, and it was one of the worst winters of my life. Going out and watching games, and wanting to be out there, wanting to be in the gym at practice time. So the opportunity to come back to Bishop Sullivan was a dream, and fortunately, I was lucky enough to get that. And I'm looking forward to doing this a long time. I hope I can, as long as I'm having fun and as long as the kids can put up with me, I'm going to continue to do it.
That means we got a 1,000th win maybe in the future for Larry Bowman. Coach, we thank you so much for the time today on the program. I'm sure we'll get you back on the show in 2019. And best of luck to you and your ladies tonight as you take on Atlee in the championship game. Go out there if you want to support Bishop Sullivan again, 7:30 p.m. Blue Bracket Championship, Bishop Sullivan and Atlee. Coach, thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
All right, I appreciate it, guys, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. That's Larry Bowman, the great coach there at Bishop Sullivan for the girls basketball program, here with us on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Always great to chat with him and catch up. And I'll have to, by the next time he comes on, I'll have to put myself through the I don't know if it'll be misery or not, watching Love Actually. I'll have to have a thought on the movie or two. Lynn, Ed may have watched it by then, and I'm sure you definitely will have watched it by then. Because Charlotte will now put it on the to-do list.
I don't know about that.
You might watch it and fall asleep midway through.
You wouldn't believe the number of movies that are still DVR'd. I told her this morning she'll be watching till Easter.
Now, you know what I got for Christmas? I got this Fire Stick thing. I'm sure Thomas is familiar with that. You can watch all the different things. But for me, what I was jazzed up about, as I was getting told by someone that's informed with these things, that now I can watch all my games I watch on Huddle and YouTube on the Fire Stick thing on my TV, which that got me so juiced up for that. So now when I've got a little dead time, I'll watch this game, I can just sit back and watch the game from my house, which will be fun.
Yeah, you can move it from the laptop up to the big screen.
Yeah, give my laptop a few minutes to finally rest because I wear it out quite a bit. Well, we are just about out of time, Lynn. 2019 is coming here. A lot of sports to go over. The year is done for 2018 in a couple days. And Thomas said I made a mistake earlier. It's not 48, 49, it's 61. And what is it?
60 now. It's 60.
Oh, it's 60. It's counting down. It's getting
also
closer,
known
folks.
As 2 days, 12 hours, and 33 minutes.
And remember, if you're out there on the highways and byways on the road, be safe, folks. Make sure you're very safe. It's always dangerous out there sometimes around New Year's time. So be safe and take care of yourself out there. And Lynn, Happy New Year to you. Look forward to seeing you in 2019.
Well, we'll be here at some point. Hopefully, Ed will be back next week. We certainly hope so.
Yeah, we sent our best to Coach Young today. His team in action. Go out there at Kings Fork. You got the Boo Williams Sportsplex. A lot of basketball to check out, and that's going to do it for High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. We thank Lynn Burke filling in for the coach, Ed Young, so admirably, and Thomas Simmons, other side of the glass. I'm Matt Hatfield. We'll talk to you next Saturday, January the 5th, 2019, on ESPN Radio 94.1.